What's going on, everyone? So, De'Anthony Melton, he's a player that, for months I've talked about. I'd really like to see the Lakers kind of take a flyer on him. He's a guy that definitely is worth some risk, right? There is definitely some concerns. He's coming off an ACL injury that cost him all of last season. But pre that injury, he was great for the Warriors. I mean, very good for the Warriors. And his on-off numbers were like insane for the Warriors, all that stuff. He's a guy, I mean, you could even slot right alongside Luka. Legit 3-and-D, versatile guard that can defend 1 through 3. A guy that can hit the 3 ball, make some plays for himself, make some plays for others, right? He's a guy that I think would be very versatile, very impactful to this team. Real low risk, high reward type guy. You're not signing him to an $11, $12 million deal like he was making previously. You're probably signing him to a vet minimum deal, maybe the biannual exception, which the Lakers still have, in order to bring him in and then kind of let him, I don't think I'd start him anytime soon, right? You want to make sure he's good, kind of ease him in. You don't want to put too much on his plate at once. And then, maybe eventually, you kind of bump up his minutes, right? So got to do something where the season starts. If you were to sign him, season starts and then he kind of, is getting like 15 minutes early, and then you slowly move him up to like that 25-minute a game type guy. But question is, are the Lakers even going to get De'Anthony Melton? Lakers have 15 open rosters, or 15 full roster spots, not open roster spots, right? Lakers have a full roster, right? So how are they going to make that happen? Is it even going to happen? What's the deal? Well, according to Brett Siegel, quick piece of intel on the Lakers, there is a growing expectation around the NBA that De'Anthony Melton will end up with the Lakers. So according to Brett Siegel, he believes that the Lakers, or at least that there's this growing expectation that he is going to head to the Lakers. There have been talks for a while that the Lakers and De'Anthony Melton have mutual interest, that both of them want to play together. De'Anthony Melton, during his workout years ago, talked about how, his passion and love for the Lakers and how much he wanted to play in a Laker jersey. So, well, here's your opportunity. Here's your chance, right? And what better place to go on a prove-it deal than the Lakers? We've seen players end up going to the Lakers, doing it on a prove-it deal, needed to kind of save face, or Malik Monk, right, is a great example, ends up getting paid. Right? So if you're De'Anthony Melton, if I come in, I play my role, I have an impact, I show everyone that I can, contribute to winning and stuff, especially if the Lakers end up winning the championship or something, and he's a big part of it, guess what? Right? He's going to get paid. He's going to start getting paid again. So I do think it's a great pickup. But again, Lakers have a full roster. So how's that going to work? How are the Lakers going to bring in De'Anthony Melton? Well, they do have Shake Milton, who they can waive. They have the option on that until the 20th of July, so they got time there. Jordan Goodwin is also on a non-guaranteed, so if they needed to, I think that they'll keep Jordan Goodwin. I think if anybody goes, it'll be Shake Milton, and kind of bring in a De'Anthony Melton to kind of replace Shake Milton, give you that upgrade in that position. Would be fantastic. The other option is depending on the trades, how trades plan out, right? So I think that the Lakers have a trade coming. Obviously there's a 7-team trade, and however that shapes up, whatever that becomes, we'll see. I believe that there's a separate trade going on. Again, I don't know, this is just my opinion, but just like I said with the DeAndre Ayton, there we go. I'm all over the place, right? DeAndre Ayton. The Lakers made moves and kind of signaled that they knew he was coming. I kind of feel the Lakers have done something similar as far as like the trade market, right? Filling out their full roster, right? They're still linked to guys like Al Horford and all these other guys. I think just based on the information that's out there, based on what the Lakers have done, that they're probably going to do something. They have a lot of time. You got to keep in mind, we have a lot of time between now and training camp. We got like 3 months before that. So I know we all want something to get done immediately. We're all hoping that, Lakers kind of have the roster signed, sealed, and delivered right now today. But things take time. Right? Lakers are working on various trades, working on various options, trying to find X, Y, and Z, trying to get, a backup center and upgrade at the wing. And yet you have teams like Miami that just have, Andrew Wiggins that they want the farm for and stuff. And it's like, it just makes zero sense to do something like that, right? So, I believe and expect the Lakers to be patient, but I think they know, like, hey, we might be able to pull some stuff up here, or they might even be close. Right? I mean, there were talks the other day, I think it was like, Dave McMillan was talking about, like, hey, the Lakers are in a trade, potential 3-team trade that wasn't this giant 7-team trade. Right? So there's all kinds of like, hey, Lakers are talking to this team and that team about that stuff. I believe the Lakers kind of have an idea and can gauge like, hey, we can pull something off here. We can do something soon. You got to remember, Lakers in the front office, they know a lot more than we do. Right, we're getting all our information from the telephone game, right, through reporters and hoping that like that stuff is accurate, right? And we don't know where the reports are coming from. I mean, for all we know, big difference between the janitor and Rob Pelinka himself, right? That's giving you that information. You know, somebody that's just hearing it in an earshot, and somebody that actually is like, no, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we're finding out in conversations here and there, right? There's just a lot of differences in that regard. So I trust that the Lakers are going to kind of make some moves and make some trades. So they could end up filling up a spot that ultimately leads to us being able to sign a De'Anthony Melton and maybe an Al Horford, right? Even like an Andrew Wiggins, right? Let's say we can keep the first. Let's say the Lakers are willing to do Gabe Vincent, Rui Hachimura, and Dalton Connect. Right? Well, you bring back one player, you open up 2 roster spots. There's De'Anthony Melton, and there's Al Horford, right? And boom, there you go. You can even absorb both into the trade exception if you needed to, if you wanted to kind of divvy it up, right? So, Lakers, I do expect to still make some moves. We'll see what happens with Cam Whitmore. But Lakers want to get younger, want to get more versatile, want to get some defense. They really need point of attack guys. They really need some defense out on the perimeter, out on the wing, some legit 3-point shooting. And a guy like De'Anthony Melton gives you all of that. Gives you some real defense, gives you some 3-point shooting. Guy, like I mentioned, that can create for himself, create for others. Guy that's he's 27. He just turned 27, by the way, this past May. So he won't be 28 till, we make the NBA Finals. So he's a guy that if it works out, you could keep long-term and be a building block, be one of those pieces. He's young enough to be an impact player and just a good, hard-nosed, hard-working role guy. He's a guy that is understands his role, plays his role well, does the dirty work, makes the hustle plays. You need guys like him. He's a guy that I do think could really do wonders for a team, like the Lakers. But anyway, he's 6'3", 200 pounds. He's basically Gabe Vincent size. But he actually is what we want Gabe Vincent to be, or he has been, the last few years. You even look at last year, he was basically 10.3 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 3 assists. But it's the shooting and everything else that he provides. But let's get into kind of the breakdown. Now, the problem last year, Golden State only played 6 games, started in 2 of them. And the reason he started in those 2 games was because he was so good for them. They needed him in that starting unit. So he ended up becoming injected in that starting unit and really started to shine and come into his own. But small sample size, but 20.2 minutes per game, 9 field goal attempts per game, shot 41% from the floor, shot 37% from 3-point range on just under 6 attempts, 2-point range, shot 47.4% on 3.2 attempts, EFG of 52.8%. Free throw shooting, he was terrible shooting the free throws last year at 62.5% on 1.3 attempts. However, he is a career 78% guy, and the last 2 years he shot 80%. So again, it's small sample size, 6 games, so it's kind of hard to know. Like, was that just, he just had a bad stretch. He only took I think like 5 free throws, right? So it's like, how did that play out, right? Rebounds, 3.3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 steals, half a block, and 10.3 points per game. He's basically a career 9, 4, and 3 guy with 1.5 steals and half a block. That's his essential career numbers. If you look at his per 36, now per 36 doesn't tell you everything, of course, but kind of gives you an idea like what would he look like in a full-time kind of starter level role. Well, last year he would have been 18.4 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and we'll round up to a full block per game. So a guy that just gets it done on both sides. But again, it's more so a guy that can slot in at either guard position. You can slot him in at the point. You can slot him in at the 2. He can knock down the 3 ball with some consistency and regularity. He's relentless on the defensive side. He can be that pest. Gives you that legit 3-and-D guard, which is what we want a guy like Gabe Vincent to be, and he just hasn't been. He's just been very inconsistent. Where De'Anthony Melton is much more consistent in that regard. I also think De'Anthony Melton would be really good for a guy like Bronny James, right? Because Bronny James is what we want him to be, and supposedly he's expected to kind of play a role and actually be a part of the rotation this upcoming season. And in all honesty, right, like he's ideal. Exactly the type of player that the Lakers need as far as like the athleticism, defense, right, 3-and-D style guard. Right? it's just, can he kind of figure out the three? The D was there, and he was starting to come into his own a little bit. You started to see him really build some confidence and some swagger. I think a guy like a De'Anthony Melton, who very similar, Bronny's more athletic, but very similar, I think would be very good to kind of like help him and like, hey, this is the role that you're playing. Come on, let me teach you how to play this role properly, and then you can have a long, successful career. Because this is a guy that, again, has been in the league since he was 20, right? So talking about he's going on his 7th season in the league. He's been he's had a handful of teams. Phoenix, Memphis, Philadelphia, and Golden State. But he's a guy that every team that he's been on, he's had an impact. Every team he's been on has been a factor in a lot of ways. So I like the idea of bringing him in. I think he's a guy that could really do some wonders, and it'd be nice to see if the Lakers can actually sign him and bring him on. But we'll see. Time will tell. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.